If you're a Tolkien fan, you must have heard that Beowulf has been a huge inspiration for the professor. I've been meaning to read Beowulf for such a long time and I was always postponing it because, I was intimidated and I was afraid, and I was right to be afraid because the original text is in Old English, and it took me a while to find a translation that I understood. But then I found a translation by Seamus Heaney, and it was very accessible, and I was so surprised because I understood everything. I could follow the story very easily, and I would highly recommend this translation. There's also an audiobook of Seamus Heaney, the author himself, recording the audiobook, and so you can follow along with your actual book, and it is really great. Tolkien admired Beowulf for the symbolism without it becoming allegorical, which means that there would be a hidden meaning in the book. And Tolkien said himself that he wanted people to find their own meaning in his books, and that is something really beautiful. I will put the link to the audiobook in the description box down below. Now, why would I say to read Beowulf when you're a Tolkien fan? First of all, it was an inspiration to Tolkien. Second of all, because of the similarities. As a huge Tolkien nerd, I was getting so excited whenever I spotted some similarity between Beowulf and The Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit. The first similarity that I found was between Beorn and Beowulf. They are both extremely strong and their names both mean bear. The second similarity was between Smeagol and Grendel, the villain in Beowulf. Both creatures like to stay near water and swamp-like locations, and they both like to hunt with their hands. Also, they are both outcasts. When I first read about Grendel, I was like, oh my god, that is Gollum, that is so cool. Grendel was the name of this grim demon haunting the marches, marauding round the heath and the desolate fens. He had dwelt for a time in misery among the banished monsters, King's clan, whom the Creator had outlawed and condemned as outcasts. The third similarity is between the dragon in Beowulf and Smaug in The Hobbit. The fourth thing that really stood out was the use of alliteration in the poetry. I would love to give you guys an example from The Return of the King. In Beowulf, there are a lot of verses that use the same first letter, and Tolkien also does the same. Let me show you. From dark Dunharrow in the dim morning, with Thane and Captain Rothangel's son, to Edoras he came, the ancient halls of the Mark Wardens mist enshrouded, golden timbers were in gloom mantled. Farewell he bade to his free people, hearth and high seat, and the hallowed places, where long he had feasted ere the light faded. This was a short piece of one of the poems in The Return of the King. And as you can see, a lot of words start with the same letter. If you need another reason to pick up Beowulf, Beowulf is such an old piece of poetry and it deserves to be read. It was almost destroyed in a fire, the pages were eaten and it was almost destroyed. So we are very lucky that we still are able to read it, and we need to treasure it, and we need to save it, and we need to pass it on. Tolkien loved Beowulf, and you can really see how that shines through in his writing of The Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit, and it was really so wonderful. I cannot describe, as a Tolkien nerd, how important it is that you pick up this work. As a Tolkien fan, you're going to be so excited to see the similarities. Now, which edition should you pick? I have only read one edition and I've tried several others and I just couldn't get through. And so the translation by Seamus Heaney is the one to go for, so I would suggest picking that one. Now, Tolkien also did a translation himself on Beowulf. Now, if you're interested in picking that one up, of course, go ahead. I haven't read it, but I'm planning on picking it up now that I'm confident enough and now that I know the story of Beowulf. If you're interested in my Tolkien collection, I've made a video about it and you can watch it here, and I will also link it down below. If you like this video, please consider subscribing. It will help me out a lot. And yeah, I will see you guys next time. Thank you for watching.